everybody, and you are listening to the Digital to Dice podcast, episode 37, Return of the Dice Games. I am Dave.
I'm Ron.
And today, great topic. Today, actually, Ron suggested this topic. We're going to talk about the resurgence we're seeing in some of the cards and dice, from the cards and dice creators. They're talking about how sales are up and, some good things happening with the games.
Amazing. The people are kind of going back to gaming without the live sports on.
Yeah, I think a lot of it comes from the shutdowns where people are stuck in their house and, maybe they're video gamed out to death and they're pulling out the cards and dice, and we're hearing good things about that. So we're going to...
Absolutely.
So we'll talk a little bit about that today here on episode 37. Ways to get a hold of us here. Digitaltodice.com is our website. That's where we park all of our podcasts. You can find our podcasts on iHeartRadio and iTunes and all kinds of things like that. Wherever your favorite podcasts are located. Hopefully we are there. Also, we have a voice and text line, 978-751-DICE, 978-751-3423. And our Facebook group. Ron, that Facebook group is growing.
Like a weed.
It is. Every couple of minutes, I get someone looking to join. And a lot of times you beat me to approving them. It's kind of cool. So I see, someone's looking to join. 10 minutes ago, I looked and you've already approved them.
Yep.
And so that is over at facebook.com/groups/digital-to-dice. And we'll get into this a little bit later in the show, but boy, I'm noticing a lot of projects being posted. And it's fun to see because I'm trying to follow them all and which games people are using and what they're doing. And I'm posting my project and you're posting yours. And it's been a lot of fun. But Before we get into some things, though, Ron, as you know, Metal Church has allowed us to use their song opening up and closing up the show, and they have some new music out. It's called From the Vault. They have a new album out. It's some old stuff, some new stuff, some cover songs, and I just want to play you a few seconds. They allowed us to play a few seconds of their new song. So so let's play this right now. This song is called Dead on the Vine by Metal Church off the new album. It's going to play a few seconds, and so here we go. Yeah, so that's a little bit of the new song there, Ron.
Awesome.
Dead on the Vine, some new Metal Church coming out. I'm all excited. I've been listening to that on my dog walks, and there's a whole bunch of new songs on that. Check it out, Metal Church. Just search Metal Church on iTunes or wherever you find your music there. I think it's actually part of the iTunes monthly fee, so I have that, and so I get all that stuff on there, and it's part of that. So new Metal Church, Dead on the Vine. I think that's my favorite song so far, Dead on the Vine. I like it. It's very similar, very, very similar to the intro song that we have used. And the thing is, it's more Metal Church. And Metal Church is, if you like Metal Church, you're going to like just about everything from Metal Church. So thanks to them for allowing us to play that. And,
thank you.
And check it out. Yeah, thank you to Metal Church at Rat Pack Records for allowing that. So, without further ado, should we get into what we're playing, Ron?
Absolutely. And Becky isn't practicing social distancing with a FedEx worker again.
She does that. Well, that's how she gets the packages quicker, I guess. So
yes.
You meet them.
She gets a quick package, yes.
Anyway, okay, that's a good one. All right, I'll give you that. All right, so why don't we kick things off, Ron? I'll let you start this time. So what have you been playing?
Well, yesterday or Friday, we debuted Action PC Football 2020, and we'll go further into that Monday night on Twitch and then later on YouTube. But the new version of their football game, which I'm pretty sure is their biggest seller, came out. And again, with all the Dave Koch products, the changes are very subtle, but they're there. One of the things that we showed off was the new a good on-screen ratings guide of how the ratings work in the game, new half-point ratings, so people aren't just straight 0 through 10. You can now have a half-point grade. And as you were talking about as well, the chalkboard seems smoother.
It seemed like that it ran really fast. It was smooth and fast, so you really have to slow it down if you want it at a decent point. But that's not a bad thing, because if you just want to see the play go real quick, you don't have to sit there and slog through a long run. It just, you can have it go as fast as you want. But I thought it was less choppy. I thought it was pretty smooth. So that's what I noticed about the game. But I will say, though, there was people that had problems loading that in. I didn't. When I loaded mine up, it went right in, and I had no problem, and it started right up, and there was no major issues. But I know that you actually had a problem, and a few other people on somewhere, they were posting that they were having issues loading the game.
A couple of runtime errors for some, and of course, if you have, like I have on my new computer, the trial version of whatever the antivirus is, because these files are so new, antivirus goes, no, you can't do that. So it hung up a couple times, and I finally took care of the antivirus, and the game loaded just fine, or installed just fine.
Okay. Did you end up putting Norton back afterwards?
No.
Oh, you didn't? Okay, so you took Norton off altogether. Yeah,
I mean, that stuff... If you don't know, there's actually the Windows Defender, which comes with your computer, for a Windows-based computer.
I heard that works really well.
Is just fine.
Yeah.
You don't need to be putting on anything else. It works just fine, and it upgrades and updates every time that Microsoft sends an upgrade package anyway.
I had that problem on my work computer, because I had the Defender on, but I also had McAfee on there, and I was losing entire folders. Like entire folders would disappear. Like, where the heck's going on? And then I'd go back and I'd find them. And so I actually had someone come over the house and work on it for a few minutes. And I said, let me just take this McAfee off. You don't really need it. As soon as you took McAfee off, all the folders came back.
Yeah.
I don't know what it was. On this computer here now, I do have the McAfee running side by side, and it's been okay so far. If it gets to a point, then I'll take it off. But until I get to that point. But yeah, they do clash.
They do clash. And I know games like the Stratomatic PC games are horrible with the antivirus because it triggers false positives because they're data libraries and they just get read wrong.
Yeah, I did hear that. So yes, you did the unboxing and you got that going there, and you showed off Action PC 2020.
We'll take a deeper dive into it early next week.
Right. In fact, I played it myself. I loaded and I played a little bit last night myself. I was playing 79 Vikings and 79 Buccaneers. I was playing some of that. You know what I figured out, though? I was playing that game, and I had some fun, but I really want to pass more. So I think I'm going to play some of the newer seasons rather than the 70s.
Yeah, the 70 seasons are not known for their passing.
No, and I'm enjoying the historical seasons that I grew up with, but I think I want to get a little bit more modern now, and I want to get a little bit more modern play.
You're going to go and tackle the last Tom Brady season in New England?
I think what I might do is what a couple other people do is I'm going to go to, I think it came with last year's season, right, 2019?
Yeah, well, the most current season.
I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put Brady and Gronk on the Buccaneers.
Ooh.
And I'm going to play the Buccaneers, right?
Well, Gronk didn't play last year, so you need to have the 2018 version of Gronk.
Yeah, I'd have to bring him in over from a 2018, but it's not like I took him off the Patriots because he wasn't. So I'll let the kid Stedman there play for the Patriots. I'll put Jameson as his backup, and Brady will play for Tampa Bay with Gronk, and that could be a fun little project,
too. That looks like an interesting little project, too. So what else to do this week? Got a bunch of new Roberto Shaviti games. Might even tape later today, depending on how things go. The 1912 Olympic decathlon.
Oh, that's
got
cool.
all the ratings set, so it's Jim Thorpe and that. So faster, higher, stronger. And so I also picked up diving, weightlifting, gymnastics, and quick play basketball. 20 years of quick play basketball.
Oh, nice.
I think dabbled with some of that too. So got the 80s and the 90s for that. And so that's pretty much what I did. Oh, along with the 78 baseball replay, which we do pretty much daily on Twitch TV at noon Eastern. So that's pretty much what I played for the Sims games this week.
There you go. And we've been doing our regular show between 6 and 6:30 every night on my YouTube channel. And just to be clear, me and Ron, we just poke fun at each other.
Oh, yeah.
People are like, oh, man, these guys are really going. No, we're not going at it. We have our fun. Well, there was one night Ron was all worked up and giddy, and And then
working on a coffee, I think. And
yeah, it was hilarious watching you go. You were wound up. And then last night I was the one that was wound up, and I went off like a top. And so we take our turns doing that. So it's been fun. It's been fun. The audience is growing. The live audience is growing. The chat room is growing. It's something people look forward to. We look forward to too. So we'll keep doing that as long as we can.
You did in a single day a tournament yesterday. Talk about that.
Yeah, I wanted to get back and play some Kill the Power Play by Roberto Cimini. I like that hockey game because I've been doing a lot of basketball, and I'll get to that in 1 second. But I said, let me go back and play some hockey. So I said, what would be a fun tournament? I says, well, what if I went back and took all the expansion teams and had them play? And then I says, okay, well, why don't I do this? Why don't I just do a one-and-done tournament, and I'll take the 67 expansion teams, the 6 teams in the NHL. But what I'll do is I'll take 5 years of that. So each team has 5, versions of that, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71. Okay, so the Kings would have 5 teams, and the Blues would have 5 teams, if you follow that. And they all have different ratings, because I have ratings for all 5 years. And then I was like, well, if I go to 71, I got to include the Buffalo Sabres and the Vancouver Canucks. So I put, the 70 expansion teams and the 71 teams in there. So I had 34 teams. So I had a play-in game to get it down to 32. And I just rolled random dice for all the matchups and set up the brackets. And yeah, I ended up rolling it. And I didn't think anybody from 67 would be that good because that was the expansion. They were all brand new. So you figure a few years into it, the teams would be a lot better. And it turns out the 1967 Flyers won the whole thing. They beat the 1970 North Stars in the finals to win it all. But all the games were close. I mean, because those teams, the expansion teams were kind of all bad all at the same time. The ratings were really close. Every game was 1 or 2. There wasn't a game. I think the biggest blowout was 4-1. There just wasn't any blowouts.
Wow.
Yeah. Yep. And I say 12 of the games. I don't know how many games I played, 16 games or 20. I don't know how many I would play in a 32.
You did what, 30? You had 34 teams, right?
Yeah.
So 33 games.
Okay, so I played 33 games. I did it all in the afternoon, and 12 of those games went to overtime. I needed overtime rolls. And, that was a fun little project there. I've been doing some more basketball. I started playing the ABA, American Basketball Association, on Action PC. I picked up a couple of those seasons, and that has been so fun. Because I know nothing about the ABA, but, the Virginia Squires and the San Diego Sails and the San Diego Conquistadors and the Louisville Colonels, and it's like, I never heard of any of these teams. The only guy I know is Julius Erving. Dr. J's the only guy I know in the ABA off the top of my head. And I'm playing these teams I don't know, and I didn't know they had the three-point rule in the ABA. So I'm playing 74 or 75, and I get the three-point line. And it was just so fun. It was in Action PC, it mimicked the red, white, and blue ball. When you shot the ball, it went from red to blue instead of just being orange. That added to it, too. That was a nice touch for the ABA. And you got different rules you can play with. So I'm setting up a short season in the ABA. And I think I'm just going to play 2 periods instead of 4. So I'm going to shorten the game by a lot, and I'm going to do what you're doing with the baseball. Play a game here, game there, simulate the season. Yeah. But I'll be able to play an entire – see, basketball's a long game to play, a long game to stream, too, and I want to stream some of these. So if I just go the 2 quarters, I'll be able to get my results in half the time and just accomplish what I'm looking to do. And so I'm really getting into customizing that season there and setting up some crazy rules for the ABA. It's just going to be fun. But I've been enjoying playing the ABA. In Action PC. Yeah. I'm continuing my Buffalo Braves offline season in regular season basketball. I'm just doing the quick play version of it. I am factoring in the rest numbers. So in other words, if you're on your first roll of the game, you check the rest chart to see who's not playing in that game. And sometimes that can add or subtract points. Other times it doesn't. So on the first roll of the game, on top of all the modifiers that you use before the game, I am checking the rest chart, and I'm using the close game factor at the end of the game. And the close game factor actually costs me a game one time because Buffalo's not a good team. And what happens in the close game factor is that you compare the close game factor number, and then you look at the chart, and that'll either give you a point to the better team or subtract a point from the worst team. So I think I subtracted a point, and that actually cost me a chance to go to overtime, the close game factor. But that's what it's there for. It's there to give a little bit more realism. In fact, I lost 2 games on the road by 1 point each. Back-to-back losses by 1 point. Just couldn't pull it out. Just couldn't get a better roll of the dice. So
that's right. At the airport must have been murder.
So after 12 games, I think I'm 2-10, and in real life they were 4-8. So I've lost a couple more than I in real life. But again, I've lost a couple by 1 point each. So fun game though. Fun game. You roll the dice and play that, and just watch the scores fill out on the score sheet. It's really fun. So I've been playing some of that. Playing some of the ABA on Action PC, and I think that's all I've really been playing. Oh, no, I did. I pulled out the Strat. I went by my Strat cards, and it's like, I have all these Strat cards, and I've been playing a lot.
Oh, this was fun, yeah.
I've been playing a lot of PC games. And there's nothing wrong with that, but it says, I want to pull out cards and put cards in front of me. So I pulled out, the first bag I pulled out was, I think it was 1979-80. And I pulled out the Flyers and the Whalers. And it's okay. Gordie Howe was on the Whalers. Bobby Howe was on the Whalers. All the Howes were on the Whalers. I was like, okay, Dave Keon. This is their first year, 79. This is their expansion season in the NHL, so they weren't that good. But I said, damn it, I'm going to play this. So I put in the Flyers and the Whalers into the Strat Hockey Utility, and I actually streamed that game. And boy, what a game it was. Hartford actually led most of the way, even though they got vastly outshot, because the Flyers, I didn't realize they went to the finals that year. It slipped my mind until you said something. You said, yeah, Flyers Islanders. Like, you're right.
They lost to Bobby Nystrom in Game 6.
Yeah, so they were one of the better teams in the league, so they played the Whalers, which is one of the worst teams, and I think they outshot them 16-3 in the first period, and Hartford was leading 1-0. It was kind of funny. And so I ended up playing that out. A last-second shot from the point by Bob Daly beat Al Smith, who had made like 45 saves in that game. Al Smith, the goalie, is incredible. Fun game. Marty Howe scored from Gordie Howe and Mark Howe. That was fun. That just was sweet right there. When I look, it was Howe and Howe and Howe. You know, it's like Howard Fine and Howard. It was really, really fun when that happened. And Philadelphia ended up winning that 4-3. But I pulled out my cards, and I like using that utility. It takes a little bit to set up because you do have to enter in all the names and stuff like that. But once you got them in, they're in. Yeah, I'm going to do a video on that too, is how to put all the names in and play with that utility, because it's so much easier, and it keeps all the stats for you in the game. You can play a whole season if you want, and it'd be a long time. But I just pop in a couple of teams and play just so I can get the box score. And it's great for playoffs, too. If you put in 2 teams and you want to set up a playoffs, you schedule the 7 games, then you can see, you can keep scoring tabs on all the guys and have stats for the playoffs in there. It's all done for you. You don't have to do anything manual. It's all right in the game. All the manual work is done at the beginning, entering the players, and then you're done, and you can play the game. And that utility rolls the dice for you. It flips the cards for you. It keeps time for you. It's a fantastic utility for Strat Hockey. I love it, and that's my preferred way to play. Have all the cards in front of you. Still need the cards, but you use the utility as your dice roller and your stat keeper. So I did that 4-3. 1979 Flyers over 1979 Whalers. A lot of fun there. So I did pull out the cards and dice and roll some games, even though I was rolling on the utility. But yeah, so I pulled out my cards, and I'm going to do that more. I wish it was a baseball utility like that, because that would be to keep that. The hockey's so good with that utility. It just makes it so much fun. If there was a baseball one like that, I would absolutely play that as well. But anyway, so all right, so we get on to the main topic of the show.
And remember, there's no pizza like pepperoni pizza.
It's a little salty. I don't like the pepperoni.
So are you. So you can be salty too. There.
I can be very salty. But yeah, I mean, I'll eat pepperoni pizza, but it just you get done eating pepperoni pizza, and there's more. The grease goes from the pepperoni to your face, and that's what I don't like about the pepperoni. It's bad enough with the pizza being a little salty and whatever, but the pepperoni just adds a lot more sodium to that, and it's like, ugh. So anyway, we're going to talk about return of the dice games today.
That's right.
And Ron, you brought this up because you found a couple of articles here. There was one, there was an email that came in from Strat, and we're going to go over. And there was something else on ESPN that talked about your word, resurgence.
That's right.
Of people playing the board games, and it may or may not be related to this virus thing, and people can find it in their house. But why don't you take it away?
Our friend John Marichich sent me this article, I think 3 or 4 nights ago, that someone from ESPN, because they don't have a lot to cover right now, had contacted both Stratomatic in Long Island and APA down near Atlanta. And Strat was boasting that last year, 2019, was their best sales year ever, and that this year's sales had beaten last year's already. And I'm sure a lot of that had to do with the fact that people are kind of stuck at home without as much, really, any live entertainment, sports or otherwise, to do. I mean, how many times can you binge watch Veep, And so people are, hopefully some new customers, but people who may have played the game as children or teenagers have found the game and can either relive or replay or the current season or whatever. And so good for them. It means that people are actually taking the time to play more Strat-O-Matic and APBA.
Yeah, and they're talking about sales numbers being up, and they're talking about in this article on ESPN, it's a terrible time right now, but people are home and they're actually playing these board games, and they were saying that the people signed up for the free trials of Strat-O-Matic Baseball 365 on April 1st roughly equaled the number for the entire month of April in 2019.
So you can have the computer do it for you and just kind of manage the team.
Yeah, and it says sales for the Strat-O-Matic baseball board game and Windows platform for the second half of March were 50% higher in 2020 than they were in 2019. So, and I know myself, I've purchased some games from them recently. I haven't ordered any of the teams because, the mail thing might be kind of slow, but I've ordered some seasons, and I actually picked up the Strat basketball game. Which is very fun. Now, I got the board game, too. One of the listeners of the show, Andrew, sent me the board game. I don't know if I mentioned that in the show last week, but I got the basketball board game in for Strat, and I've been reading the rule book, so I got to sit down maybe today or tomorrow and figure out how to play it with the teams that are in there. And I'm hoping that'll make more sense for me when I play the PC game, because I'm trying to follow the flip of the cards in the PC game, and I'm not following quite as much as I do with hockey, because hockey I'm aware of how the hockey plays.
Right.
So I'm hoping when I sit down and play the board game and I flip the cards on the table that I'm like, oh, I remember seeing this in the PC game, and that's what this means, and O means this, and in man means that, because I haven't followed that yet. But I am enjoying the PC game. I'm playing my Buffalo Braves in 72, enjoying that. I think I picked up an 80s season so I can play Larry Bird. And it's just fun. It's a little different than Action PC. Action PC, I find you have more chances to shoot and pass and stuff. But the Strat game being a cards and dice game, you get the cards and dice experience. You see the roll of the dice and you see the card and where it lands. And that's where the fun of that game comes in. In fact, I did a video comparing the two side by side on my YouTube channel. And I just showed what they look like, the differences, the similarities, and the whole bit. But myself, I bought the Strat basketball game and some seasons, and I picked up some basketball seasons on Action PC. Obviously, I got the new football game and the new golf games coming out, and we might have someone on next week to talk about that golf game as well. Yeah, so a little tease right there. But so I myself, I'm playing more, and then, you talk about not even the big ones. You talked about Strat and APBA. In fact, was it People.com? Did something with Strat, and they were talking about the sales are higher in March than they were last year. The board game sales are 60% higher. Windows games are 45% higher. New members for Strat Baseball 365 are 75% higher. The traffic on the site is 380% higher. So just these are just something. And like I say, you can read the article on People.com if you want to read that Strat article there. I'm just kind of giving you an idea. Just basically, I'm just saying that numbers are up for Strat, and I imagine that they are for other companies too, because I'm seeing a resurgence on Facebook and Delphi of the projects people are posting.
Right.
It is incredible now. Like even our group, which has got a little over a couple hundred people, it's multiple times a day we're seeing people update their projects, and they're showing off new games, and here's the results from this, and so that's been really fun following some of these products that people are doing. I'm posting my stuff there too. But I mean, it's not just the big stuff. It's not just Strat and APBA and play games. The games we're playing too, the quick play games, the Roberto Chavini games. We're seeing a lot of people post results from that. The Downey games, we're seeing people post from there. The regular season basketball. I mean, I'm seeing a lot of people comment on my post for regular season basketball and that they've picked up the game. And the same with the Roberto Schiavini games. I'm getting a lot of comments that, hey, I like to kill the power play. I saw that, or I saw your tennis game, or whatever it was. And I know you've been doing some of the Roberto Schiavini games too, the quicker play games. So, and they've told us in emails that they're seeing some increase in sales. So good for them. So I mean, it's a gaming time for people. So if there's one good thing to come out of this mess, is we've been playing a lot of games, and I've found a lot of new games that I wouldn't have found unless I was home and had the time.
I think the cards and dice thing, and because I think most people's go-to is the video game. There's nothing wrong with that,
right?
Or this like an OOTP or an action PC. But I think people now have the time and want to be able to escape from their screens to go through and just roll it out, whether it's reliving part of their childhood or just trying to pass the time over the course of an evening. I've seen a bunch of posts on Strat's Facebook group of fathers showing kids how to play the basic game. And whether the kids like it or not, they may or may not be a sports fan. You introduce 100 kids, you might have 2 or 3 who actually pick it up. And so, as we talked about before, it's growing the hobby, growing the game, spending some time together as a family. There's just endless varieties of it. And as you said in our groups, that there's just a lot of projects and a ton more cards and dice projects. Glory Days Boxing, for instance, our friend Al, Red Sox fan, has done a bunch of that. The Schiavini games, Red, White, and Blue Racing from Play.com. I mean, so everyone's just taking more time because they have it to try to unwind and play the games of their choice. And so people have gone out, if they have the extra money, and supported these companies because we don't want them to go away.
No, I've been trying to do that myself, is help these guys out and even showcase some of the games. But I find, like I said, with the cards and dice, you got to wonder with the kids because everything's done with video games now. And when I play, the Action PC or the Strat games or the OOTP or whatever it is on the computer, it does everything for you. You still make a couple of decisions, but it does everything for you. The fun part about the cards and dice is what I hope that the kids would like, is that you have to think for yourself. You have to set the lineups. You have to put the people in the field, or select your starting lineup and your goalie or whatever, and then you roll the dice, and then you got to do some thinking. And that's what I like about the cards and dice aspect of it, is you have to do some thinking in the game. Sometimes it's quick math. Sometimes it's looking at the card and seeing what the play is going to be, and then you visualize it in your head. And it's not done automatically, so you are creating the visuals in your head, but you are thinking, and it's making you think, and it's working your brain a little bit. And I think that's better than sitting back and just letting it all be handled by the computer. Not that there's anything wrong with that. From time to time, like sometimes when we're done our nightly show, I'm pretty tired after we do an hour and a half of talking on our show, and I'll kick back and I'll put up my feet and I'll just have the hand on the mouse and I'll play a game here on the computer because I really don't want to think anymore. I've done my thinking for the day. But when I get up in the morning and I have my cup of coffee and I have breakfast and I sit at the table, right now I'm out of work, so I will sit and I will pull out the cards and dice, and I will roll dice, and I will do the math.
There's an immersion factor, I think, with all this too. I mean, it is productive in my mind as pulling out a book and reading it. You got to be able to sit through and think. And how I might picture a ground ball is short would be different from how you do that. And although the dice are random and you don't know what the result's going to be, as you said, it's about thinking on your feet and how you visualize it. And so it just kind of slows things down. And hey, because the kids are home and because the bigger companies have all the modern stuff, they're not going to be abstract things. If you and I talk about Walter Payton, Emmitt Smith, Jim Brown for a 50 and 60-year-old kid, that's all ancient history. But if we talk about Tom Brady or Rob Gronkowski having a card, or who was the quarterback from Baltimore that ran for 18,000 yards less? Patrick Mahomes from Kansas City. Those are names that they know and have seen and can relate to. My dad was a big Jim Rice fan. I'm a big Giancarlo Stanton fan, for instance. And so you can see how Rice was carded. You can see how Stanton was carded, or Aaron Judge, or any of those. And it just kind of puts that continuity there. The market, and you and I have talked about this before, the market for people who want to play these games is actually huge. If you're one of those people who sits there and does daily fantasy for football all year or all season, then these are the games for you. And Stratomatic, to their credit, has pitched themselves as the original fantasy sports game. And so it's all about the numbers. Well, how do you get the numbers in a cards and dice? Well, you roll the die or you flip a fast action card.
Right.
So,
there's a better immersion with that than you are pressing buttons in a game. Again, someone I talked about it says, my age, pressing buttons and trying to score goals and shoot baskets, I have a hard time with it. Whereas if I could
analog to R2 to
I can't hold all the three buttons.
Hold your right foot in the air and do the hokey pokey.
Yep.
That's how you score.
Yeah. So if I'm playing cards and dice, it's rolling dice, and I take my time. There's no hurry, and I can go refill my coffee and come back and think about it. If I'm on the computer, I'm clicking mouse and watching game, and you can stop. And it's not how fast you click the mouse. It's not how fast you roll the dice. It's not if you do it right. It's just you're rolling that out and you're seeing the results of what's happening, and you visualize it in your head, and then you figure it out. And that's the fun thing about it is you have to figure it out, and that's what I enjoy about those games. And when you're playing, there's nothing wrong with Madden or NHL on the PlayStation or NBA 2K. The graphics are great and they're fun and they'll keep your stats for you the whole bit. But again, it really comes down to the coordination with the controller, how well you do in the game.
Exactly.
And some people enjoy that. I used to. I just don't anymore because I don't have that skill. Once in a while, I'll get on and play some NHL hockey and have fun. Or I picked up a Sega basketball game that I'll be playing hopefully on the channel. But the old games, the 1 and 2 button stuff, that's the stuff I can play. I can't play the newest stuff. But so getting back to cards and dice, it's something we've gone over before, and that was the whole. That was the whole thing, Jack, when I started this digital to dice. It was going from video games to dice games, and that's kind of how this all started. Was just kind of tracking my transformation from a video game player to a cards and dice player, and I wanted to track my journey, and it's still kind of doing that in a way. It's evolved in some other things along the way as well. But it was just the idea that, I can't do the video games anymore. I still play them from time to time, but I'm not good at them, and I would rather play the seasons I want, the players I want. As you said, Jim Rice, Tom Brady, those are the people in Boston that I'm used to there. And I can play the games. Like I played the 79 Flyers versus 79 Whalers the other day. I can't do that playing any NHL game.
Nope.
It's not there. I can go back as far the Sega games back to 91, and I can play the Penguins and the North Stars in the Cup from 91, but that's as far back as I can go. I can't play anything earlier than that, and I want to play earlier than that. I want to play the 80s games. I want to play the 70s games, and so that's why I play these games, is for the nostalgia factor, but they're more relaxing. And I have more fun. And I discovered the ABA by playing some of the Action PC games. I discovered the ABA. I did a WHA project using Kill the Power Play. I replayed the playoffs. I forget what year it was, but I replayed the entire playoffs.
The first season, 72-73. It's the year that the Whalers won.
Yeah, and I get a different winner in overtime. That's the one. Remember the one that I was in Game 7 of the finals, WHA, and one team had
the Avco Cup.
The Avco Cup, and I forget which team won. I think it was the Jets were in it, and maybe New England. And one team had a +6 advantage for an overtime roll, just how it worked out. And I was rolling 2 10-sided dice, one for each team. And one team had a +6 advantage in overtime, and they rolled a 2, and the other guy rolled, I think, was a 9. And so that 2 became an 8, but the team that rolled the 9 still won. The underdog pulled it out with a -6 advantage on that roll and won the Avco Cup. So I learned a little bit about the WHA by playing these cards and dice games. I can't play WHA on a video game, Jugget.
No, because the league doesn't exist anymore.
No, it doesn't.
I know outside of the Action PC stuff that I stream and everything else I play as far as the sports sim is concerned has a dice relative. The Masters I did a couple of weeks ago was a cards and dice game. I didn't show the cards, and you could read the cards and that, but I didn't take a lot of time to explain that. But that was a cards and dice game. The Shavini games, which I'm going to get into a lot more of as we go along, cards and dice games. I went from having no current strat PC games, and PC being the word because I can't physically do cards and dice, to having baseball, basketball, and hockey. And my hockey replay is kind of on hiatus because it's not cold enough for that. But, I'm a quarter of the way through a baseball replay. It just taking my time, having my own fun, doing the things the way I want to do them, and just kind of getting lost into it. I know I've talked about this before. It's like reading a good book. A replay.
Yeah, and I've been getting into basketball, and if it wasn't for Strat and Action PC and regular season basketball, I wouldn't be playing basketball because I don't play the NBA 2K. I mean, I might, like I said, I talked about the Sega basketball that I might play because that's easy and fun and the whole bit. But, I'm playing a lot of basketball right now, and it's only because of these games. It's not because of the video games. It's not because of the PlayStation or the Xbox. It's because of the simulation games that I learned how to play. And I am on a basketball kick, and I am enjoying the heck. I never heard of the Buffalo Braves until a couple weeks ago. And now I'm replaying a whole bunch of Buffalo Braves games. I never knew it.
There were some good players that rolled through Buffalo after those first couple of years.
Yeah,
too.
and I'm playing the worst season because that's what I do. I play the worst season, but I didn't know anything about them. I knew of the the ABA, but I didn't know how they had a 3-point line and stuff. So I'm learning this stuff, and I'm enjoying it for the first time. That wouldn't happen without cards and dice.
That's right. Plus, there are a ton of sports that are covered in cards and dice. We've talked about boxing, track and field, cricket, horse racing. Like I said, I just picked up Olympic diving and wrestling, and we already mentioned the boxing. So if you have a favorite sport, even if it's not a conventional sport, you can find something to get you jonesing in there. I mean, one of the first track and field things I did was the 100-meter finals for the LA 84 Olympics for the men. And the results were, although I didn't get my gold, Carl Lewis didn't win my race, the final time was within, we did a whole show on this, was within 2/100ths of a second of the real time. And so whatever it is that you want to do or recreate, you can through cards and dice. Yeah. I use Excel for a lot of that stuff, but it's just out there.
Yeah, I did that Heroes of the Masters game? The Roberto
Heroes of the Majors. It does all four.
Hero of the Majors. Okay, and that was the golf game from Roberto Schiavini. And I forget what year I got.
90. The year that Tiger ran away with it.
Yeah, it was one of the first. Yeah, Tiger ran away. Yeah, it was bad. And I took all the players on the list and I put them in the field. And because that game allows you to roll for the entire round. Okay, and then you can go hole by hole. So what I did is I rolled the entire round for the first two rounds, and then I eliminated people. And I started chipping away at the field, and I did the same thing for round 3. Everybody got one roll, and I see what your score is. And then when I got down to the final day, I took the top 8. And I didn't roll for the rest of them. I just wanted to see who would win. So I took the top 8 and went hole by hole for the top 8 golfers. And boy, I tell you, that was so much fun. And I wouldn't get that fun, playing, Tiger Woods golf on the PlayStation because I'd just be one guy. So I was playing the whole field, and I got to see who had a good first round and a bad first round, and see who come up from the bottom of the pack, see who made the cut, see who didn't make the cut. Whittled it down to my last 6 or 8 guys, and I watched them.
It's intense, isn't it?
When
I did the Masters a couple of weeks ago, for streaming purposes, to have names that I knew but weren't household names. If I said Kerry Middlecoff to you, you were going to go who? Or Hubert Green. Arnold Palmer, and you should know Sam Snead because you do know a little bit about golf history. But to have that last hour, the back 9 at Augusta on Sunday play out like that, and to have Palmer almost make a double eagle on 15 and then 4-putt 16.
Yeah.
That's one of those things that is – it's your own unique thing, and we just choose to share a lot of our projects with you guys. But anyone who's done a project like that or a baseball season has had the games where, let's say, Clemens throws a no-hitter one night, and the next game he goes out and gives up 25 runs, just for for an extreme. That's the experience. And it's nice to see, to kind of bring it full circle, more people, especially getting a write-up in people.com, because that's not, ESPN's one thing. That's your target audience is sports fans. But your wife would read people.com. Oh, this is the stuff that my husband plays.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe I'll get him a set of something or another. I mean, that's huge.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's just the idea, going back to that golf game, is that I got to play the whole field and watch it play out, and I felt like I was part of the overall thing rather than just playing one golfer and swinging the club and just seeing the result. It was fun. It was satisfying, and that's the reason why that Cards and Dice can be a different experience in a video game, and you just feel more involved in it than just playing the one or two golfers. So
yeah,
but yeah, so we are seeing that. We're hearing some good results. From some of the major companies, even from the smaller companies, or just individuals that created games, that their sales are going up, and it's been just really great seeing that, because we had talked about the future of the hobby in one of our earlier episodes, and now we're seeing because of this, because we're stuck inside,
alive and well.
It's doing quite well, and this, as bad as the situation is, it gave a little boost to this, and hopefully we get back to normal at some point, and maybe people keep playing this stuff. Maybe they really
think so.
This was a lot of fun.
So out there in podcast land, what have you pulled out of the closet or bought in the last, what are we, 6-7 weeks of this thing?
Yeah.
What have you pulled out new for a project that you might not have had time for before? Have you bought some new games? What are you liking for that? I know that Payoff Pitch just released the 1984 season for their game. So, let us know in the comments. And what's our dice line?
978-751-DICE. 978-751-3423 is the dice line. Over on Facebook, facebook.com/groups/digital to dice. Let us know what you played, or comment here if you're watching on YouTube. If you're listening to the podcast on YouTube, leave us some comments. We always get good comments there. Yeah, so get a hold of us. What games? Like I said, I would like to know what you've bought in the last 6 to 8 weeks. During this time that maybe you've been in your house more, or maybe you're still working, but you can't go out at night or on the weekends. Have you pulled out a game? Have you bought a new game? Have you tried any games here? And what ones have you got to, boy, wow, this was a surprise. I really enjoyed this a lot more than I thought, or I've never heard of this one and I got it. Yeah. So
yes. For me, it's the Shavini games. I had seen them for years, and I think you and I are going to talk about quick play games on a specific show at some point in the near future. But it's like how much meat is actually on that bone for someone who goes from playing full games, not pitch by pitch for baseball, but batter by batter or play by play in football and basketball and hockey. How much enjoyment am I going to get out of something that resolves itself in 3 to 20 dice rolls? And the answer is a lot.
A lot more than you would think.
A lot more than I would think.
You don't need to sit there for a half hour or an hour or 90 minutes or more to get enjoyment. And, when we get into the quick play talk, the idea being that you can play, a full season, a full playoffs. You can play a lot more games with a quick play. And that's where the enjoyment actually comes in, too, is in the bulk games and seeing that rather than the individual type of games.
Absolutely. So yeah.
So we want your thoughts on some of that as we wrap up episode 37. Would this be the Patrice Bergeron episode?
Sure.
All right. That's a good 37 right there.
Is he drawing a blank on 37 for real teams such as Montreal?
I hope is he 37? I think he is. I don't know.
You can fix it in post.
No, I ain't going to fix it. It's going to roll. So if Patrice Bergeron is not 37, then it's still the Patrice Bergeron episode. I don't care. So anyway, I was watching Larry Shaw playing shootout hockey on YouTube.
Having fun.
He's having so much fun with that, and I'm watching him play it, and he gave me credit for the hybrid method, and that was kind of cool. He didn't have to do that.
Alan Shaw, but yes.
I'm sorry, Alan Shaw. What did I say? Larry Show.
Larry.
Oh, I was getting him mixed up with someone else who was playing the
Larry
game.
Harris.
Yeah, and there's a few people playing the shootout. Yep. So I'm sorry. Yes, Alan Shaw. I'm sorry, Alan. I got that wrong. But I was watching this morning. He put up a new episode, and I was watching.
So much fun with that.
And he's doing a good job because he admittedly says, "I don't know a lot about hockey, but I'm trying the shootout hockey game."
And that's the thing. You get to play with things that you wouldn't necessarily would play. I mean, you're tired. You have your core sports that you play. You got time now. You know what? I like this sport better than I thought.
I never thought I'd be playing tennis on cards and dice. I never thought I'd be playing basketball cards and dice, and here I am. I'm playing, and I'm having a blast. And Alan's having a lot of fun playing that shootout hockey game. And it's funny. It's fun watching someone who's not a hockey fan play it. That's even more fun. It adds to the excitement of it. So he's doing a bracket tournament. I think he's doing a one and done, and I'm trying to follow along with that. So good to him. So, all right. So we're going to wrap things up here, Ron. Wrapping up episode 37.
That's right.
Yes, we're living by the numbers. This was episode 37 of the Digital to Dice podcast, as we talked about return of the dice games. A little resurgence here during our lockdown with some of the board and dice games, cards and dice games, I should say. We talked a little bit about Strat, Apper, a few of the independent creators, Roberto Schiavini, regular season basketball, Downey games. Anybody else we talked about today? We talked about a lot of different places.
Also, the kind of the hybrids like ASG games and Action PC.
Yeah, we talked about those. Yeah, so a lot of stuff going on here. And so, we want your feedback. What are you playing? Have you tried anything new? Let us know. I'm Dave.
I'm Ron.
Talk to everybody later. Bye-bye.